Good morning, happy Lag BaOmer, Chag Sameach to all in the capital city of Maryland with the Torah in this wonderful shul that will save the rest of the state all the way out to Cumberland and Deep Creek Lake. Our Torah over here. Lag BaOmer has a lot of reasons to be happy, and for today I decided to focus on one of the most historical ones, the rebellion of Bar Kochba, because today, back in the 130s Common Era, was the rebellion of Bar Kochba, whose many great people, even began to wonder if he could be the Mashiach or the harbinger of the Mashiach. But that happened today. Now we know that it was not completely successful, but I think most people, at least when they look at the first 75% of the history, they feel a lot of Jewish pride. Of course, things didn't work out that well at the end, but it was, at least it gives you a feeling many times in Gullus, in the exile, Jewish people have challenges, and sometimes they feel, well, why doesn't somebody stand up and do something about it? Fight back. Let's see what happens. Let's not let them step on us. So even though Bar Kochba was not completely successful, but still it just gives vent to those feelings that we see, well, it's possible. Jews can stand up. They can make things happen. We don't have to be, as I say in Yiddish, a bunch of lemachos. And I want to mention something. Even though the Bar Kochba revolt was not totally successful, and there were ups and downs, but there was something that my chavrusa, Dr. Bruce Friedman, taught me that I really couldn't have known this from my generation. So Bruce is just a drop before my generation. Dr. Friedman told me that he clearly saw a difference in the demeanor of the Jewish people before the state of Israel and after the state of Israel. Before the state of Israel, there was Jewish pride, but there always was this downtroddenness, this outlook from the world that the Jew is a weakling, Jews don't stand up for themselves, you can push them around, we can discriminate against them. But Dr. Friedman told me that somehow after the state of Israel had its recognition and its successes, even though with all the blood we lost in the accomplishment of that, there was just a certain sense of Jewish pride and a certain feeling of, well, before you push me around, people of the world, you're going to do some thinking. Because now you found out that the little Jew can and will strike back however he and she can, and with our continued successes, Bezrat Hashem, in Eretz Yisrael, hopefully we'd like to have more of that. Things don't always work out perfect, but Dr. Friedman had observed that. And the rebellion of Bar Kochba, even though again, it does not end, they live happily ever after, and I think as mature people we know that it's very, very rare in real life that it ends happily ever after, right? Even Gil, who is a victorious war hero, happily ever after is not exactly the right terminology, but at least it gives the Jews some hope. Now it starts out with this: the Beis Hamikdash was already down. The Roman Emperor is Hadrian. Now we have to fix a problem. The world, I don't know about you, at least I grew up thinking the Romans and Greeks were wonderful. People like Roman architecture and Greek architecture, and they like to model themselves after all kinds of Roman and Greek things. And then you start learning about the Colosseum, and you start finding more and more things about Roman and Greek history, and you start getting your questions. You know, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an archaeologist so bad. Till my father, bless his memory, convinced me out of it. But I so much wanted to be in archaeology, and high on my list, I want to go to the Parthenon and the Acropolis, and I want to go to the Colosseum, I want to see this and that. And then you start finding out some things that they didn't tell you first time around of what exactly the Colosseum was used for, and who built it, who got thrown to the lions, and you start finding out a lot of things, and you're just not so excited anymore about running around in a toga and things like that. It just, I don't want to take away from Roman and Greek inventions, but it just doesn't have the same appeal it has But in society, the way people talk, Roman, Greek, this, that, Ionic architecture. Yeah, but when you really study what used to go on over there, even not to our people, then you start like, I don't know if I'm so excited about this. So we start off the Bar Kochba history with Emperor Hadrian. Now, of course, you don't have to study a lot of Roman history to find out that most of the emperors were not exactly tzaddikim over there. You wouldn't exactly want to invite them over for Shabbos. Now, Hadrian, when he first came to power, the Jews thought this guy was going to be great for us. He put a stop to a lot of Roman oppression of the Jews, and he starts making all kinds of promises and giving us liberties back that we hadn't had. And the big one, he tells us, I'm going to let you get back Yerushalayim and build your temple. The Jews are absolutely thrilled. Wow, this could be it. Maybe this is an early Balfour Declaration before the British. Of course, in those days, Rome owned the British territory, and the British part of this is not going to be good, just like it wasn't so good in the state of Israel. I hope things are better now. But, of course, the Jews got all excited. They thought this is Mashiach. We know there are many times in history when somebody starts being nice to us, and we think, oh, that's it, it's all over, everything's going to be great. I'm not going to say too much, but you all remember when Colin Powell got his position, and it was found out by the media that Colin Powell ken's retten or Zeir Gutter Yiddish. So you will remember, Jewish people, they figured, that's it, no more problems for the Jews, for Israel. Look at this fellow. He was a sweet little black boy working for a Jew, and he speaks Yiddish and all that. You get all excited, and you remember. And then later on, when it came to some dealings with Jews in Israel, we Jews got disappointed a few times, but that happens to us sometimes, not all the time. Truman didn't do it to us, but a lot of other people did. So the Jews are going to get disappointed because the Samaritans, who the Gemara calls the Kutim, who the Gemara is always trying to figure out if they're Jewish, if they're not Jewish, if they don't know what they are. Gemara has a very, very, very hard time with them. At the end of the day, do not let your child or grandchild go out with a kuti, because at the end it was decided that their conversion definitely was more than a little bit of a problem. But they make trouble for us. They say all kinds of nasty things to the Roman emperor about us, and he's not sure what to believe and not to believe, so he makes some changes. So Hadrian, and this is leading us all into Bar Kochba, Hadrian says we're going to make some changes. Yes, we are going to rebuild Jerusalem. Except, guess what? It's going to be on my terms. We're going to rebuild or destroy Jerusalem. We Romans destroyed it. We Romans rebuilt it. But it's going to be a Roman city, not going to have a Jewish character, and we'll give it a nice Latin name. And I bet I'm going to say it wrong. Correct me. Aelia Capitolina. Come on. I must be saying this wrong.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Where's Dr. Singerman? Okay. And he says, that's what we're going to do. And he says, and one more thing. You can rebuild that Beis HaMikdash, but not in that spot. I want you to move it over. So this is already trouble, and it's going to get worse because the Jews, they're not interested in building a Beis HaMikdash in the wrong place. And the temple, not only is it not going to be a Jewish temple in the right place, the Romans are going to wind up making it a temple for the worship of Jupiter. Now you have to help me, I always get this wrong. The Greeks and the Romans have different names.
Zeus.
Right, now who said Zeus and who said Jupiter?
The Greeks are Zeus, Romans are Jupiter.
Correct. Oh, so I did get it right. Okay, fine. Because I have a certain student in Baltimore, Zev, who comes to help out the minyan, so he always helps me with this. He's my checker. But thank you. Brian was the checker today. All right, I always get them mixed up.
So I didn't have to.
Because one second now. There's a lot of Gemara about this also. Aphrodite was Greece, Venus was Rome.
Correct.
All right, a lot of Torah on that too, but that's about bathhouses, and we'll leave that aside for right now. Well, anyway, the Jews almost made a lethal mistake over here. Now remember, he offered us everything Jews wanted, everything. Freedom, not going to bother us, equality, Beis Hamikdash, Yerushalayim. The Jews get all excited, and then he takes more and more back. At this point, Yerushalayim wasn't going to be on our terms. The Beis Hamikdash isn't going to be in our terms. It's going to be minus our terms. But there's no hostilities. For a while, he was less hostile, less oppressive than other Roman emperors. So some Jews, now you know that no matter how things are going, there are always some Jews that want to fight and they want exact equality. Now Rabbi Weinschlita has a very funny book called Buy Green Bananas. Now he has a whole introduction on why the book is called Buy Green Bananas. You know how much the book has to do with green bananas? Not very much. But Rabbi Wein gives a warning to the whole world, and he gives it to Jewish people. It's hard for our generation to understand. Bruce will understand a little better because he is smarter than the average bear. Oh, that's before your time. That's Yogi Bear, Bruce. That's a little bit before you. But the rest of us might. Do you have Yogi Bear in South Africa?
No, Yogi Bear was a specific bear that came from a specific forest in New Mexico. Capitan National Forest.
All right, so we're gonna have.
It was a bear that was saved from a fire that was named Yogi.
All right, so we're gonna have to get your car. All right, so we're gonna have to stick with Disney things for you. But then Disney was probably an anti-Semite. Oh, that's another story. We're not gonna go there. Not gonna go. They're gonna break children's hearts. Leave that alone. They're not sure. They're really not sure. He was a mixed-up guy. All right, but whatever it was, Rabbi Wein gives a warning that we live in an age of entitlement. We all, both Jews and non-Jews, we think we are entitled to everything what we want. We have rights, we have privileges. And he gives a warning, don't go too far with that. Either you're going to get yourself in trouble or you're going to be very, very disappointed. So there never was a time in history when the average American felt more entitled. I owe, everybody owes me, I'm entitled. Rabbi Wein, he warns us to be very, very careful with that. And to Jews, and this is what's going to hook it over here, to Jews it's even more so. Because for most of Jewish history, the non-Jews, it's basically been, well, I'll let you stay in the country, I'll let you walk on the street, I'm not hitting you today, so, just be happy with that. Now to us, that sounds absolutely horrendous. But for a large part of Jewish history, like it or not, that's what it was. And it was very rare that Jews had equal rights. And even when Napoleon gave us the equal rights, back at the turn of the 1800 over there, even there were some issues, there were some problems with him also. He was the big one who started with the equal rights all over the place. So there was a thing that history has taught Jews, you can ask for what you want, but be very, very careful. So what happened is when Hadrian had offered everything, put it all on the table, and then took it back, going back to just a peaceful existence, you can pretty much do the mitzvahs, I'm not going to bother you, but forget the Israel thing. A bunch of Jews, no, you're going back, you told us we could do this and that, no, you can't do that, we're going to have a revolt, and the Jews were ready to tumble. So the great sage Rabbi Yeshua spoke to the people. He said, you got to calm down. You got to put things in perspective, in Jewish historical perspective over here. And he told them the story, which I'm sure you know, of the little bird and the lion. So there was a lion, you remember this, there was a lion, this is Rabbi Yeshua's parable. There was a lion that had a bone stuck in its throat. And a little bird said, well, I can get it out, but I want a big reward for this. And he says, all right, fine, you'll get a big reward, whatever you want. And the little bird flies in there. I don't know what kind of bird it is because it's a parable. It didn't really happen. Anyway, the bird goes in. He goes into the lion's mouth. He gets it out. He comes out. He tells the lion, where's my reward? The lion says, you stupid bird. You were just in a lion's mouth and you're alive. Be happy for that and get out of here before I do worse to you.
That's your award.
So Rabbi Yeshua told the Jews, whether you like it or not, whether it's fair or not, that's what it is. This is the Roman Empire. They are in charge. Why did God put these people in charge? I don't know. They're probably related to Esav and Edom. I don't know why they're in charge. But they're in charge. And we spoke a few months ago. There's a time to have bitachon and not be so frightful. And there's a time to be scared. And God wants you to be scared. Rabbi Yeshua says, chill out. They're not bothering us. We can keep the mitzvahs. Israel will just have to wait. And he seemed to have calmed most of them down. But there was no revolt then. But Hadrian started tightening the screws more and more and more. And he went after Shabbos. He went after bris. Now, of course, you know why the Greeks and Romans love to go after bris. And they can't stand that Jewish women dress so modestly. Catherine, thank you for being our role model today. They can't stand that because you all know that Roman and Greeks worship the body. That's what they're all about. So if they worship the body and expose the body, and we all know that the real Olympics could not be televised even today, right? It would be bleep bleep and all that. So knowing that, so to them, Jews, you give a bris, you cut off a piece of the body, oh my God, and the women, you cover them up, what are you, Jews crazy? So they always had trouble with that. So Hadrian started taking away mitzvah after mitzvah after mitzvah from us, and it became like the times of Hanukkah. So enters Bar Kochba. Now first, the Jews said, we're going to hide. We're going to hide in caves. Caves come into Lag Bomer, you can't get away from it. We're going to hide in caves. We're going to do mitzvahs in caves, stay there as much as we can. And if they start up with us, we'll fight back. And they even created a network. That is amazing. This is before, texting and cell phones. The caves had a network, how to be in touch with each other. If you think the Romans have found you, going to bug you, let us know. We're going to come. We'll send our people. We'll help you. This went on for a while. And then the Jews came to realize we can't live like this forever. We can't live in holes. We can't live the rest of our existence like this. So Bar Kochba, now let me clear something up. Bar Kochba's real name was Shimon Bar Koziva. Rabbi Akiva changed his name to Shimon Bar Kochba, Shimon the son of the star, based on a pasuk about Mashiach. So he changed the name there, but there are plenty of sources that will say, well, it works out real good that his last name was Koziva, because Kazav in Hebrew is false, and he turned out not to be what we thought he was going to be. It turned out to be false, playing his name. But Shimon Bar Kochba had a lot of, in the beginning at least, he had a lot of pluses to him. Another great man that there were problems with. One of his greatest things, which is going to be Mashiach's greatest miracle, is he could unite Jews. And there is nothing harder than uniting Jews. There's absolutely nothing. So he was able to get all the Jews of all the different flavors and all the different persuasions that they were going to work together to fight the Romans. All right? Now, with all due respect, my Rebbe, Rabbi Schneider, said, part of being in exile, there's something good about being in exile. The Jewish people are terrific people, chosen people and all that, but to be real honest, and we all know this, we have what to learn from the Goyim. No question. My Rebbe told me that there's no question. We had a lot of pain, but each country we spend time in, we learn something from the nations there. We learn bad things. No, but there's always positive things to learn. You see this nowhere more than in music. Define Jewish music, Let's be real honest. Half the Shabbos tunes are Russian and Polish peasant tavern tunes. That's the truth. You can't change that, okay? Ma'osur, Yeshua, Ein Kilokenu, the popular ones. As far as I always heard, those are Gentile tunes. But they made it. So like there's always what to learn. Rabbi Schneider commented, and everybody has their own personal peeve about this. Rabbi Schneider said, in America, there were two things that the Goyim taught us big time. They taught us some other things we could discard, but they taught us two things that are really, really good. And let's be honest, Jewish people are not the most organized people. I think if you look around, even the way certain Jewish books are written, the Goyim have taught us a lot and keep teaching us a lot in many things about how to run different systems. The Gentile world has taught us so much. And this is a hard pill to swallow. Maybe not this shul, but the Americans have taught us a lot about cleanliness. You may be aware that when the German Jews came here first, and then my relatives, the Russian and Polish Jews, came here, the German Jews, they were really, they were uncomfortable. It was a lot of times, we'll give you all the money you need, we'll set up an educational alliance for you, whatever you need, but you can come to my house once in a while, don't come too often. All the books you read, there was an adjustment period, because it was a whole different culture, and the German Jews had already been here, and Rabbi Weinschliter writes that many, many Jews in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, as we came part of the melting pot, a lot of Jews left Judaism because the bottom line is, what was the shuls? The shuls, compared to the churches and everything else, the stingy with European people doing European things. I won't say because you have food. And Rabbi Wein said that turned a lot of people away. So the non-Jews, there is a lot what to teach us over here. And when it comes to working together as a cohesive group, I don't know, sometimes the Goyim do a lot better than us. So, to get a bunch of Jews together to work on a plan, that's not an easy thing. Those who have been at board meetings, you know how much fun that is, But Shimon Bar Kochba, he knew how to get the Jews work together. With all their different issues, you get a bunch of Jews in a room, they're all different. He was able to get them to work together against the Romans and to come out of the cave, and they're ready for a fight. And they're ready to fight. And of course, in the beginning, they're solid, they're doing mitzvahs, and they're praying, and they're fasting, and they're doing everything that needed to be done to be a good Jewish force. And for the first 3 years of the revolt, they really, really gave the Romans what for. They developed tactics, Be'ez Hashem. They had success after success after success. And after 3 years of the revolt, they became bold enough to retake Jerusalem, and they shocked the Romans big time. And the Romans, we chased them out of Yerushalayim, and in Israel there's a beautiful city called Caesarea, so that's where we chased them off to. And for around 2.5 years in the middle, things were great. Bar Kochba was our leader, and an awful lot of people were on his team. They were very, very happy with the way he was running things, and they thought this is going to really go someplace with this Bar Kochba. But of course, nothing good lasts forever, at least for right now. So that's going to end. Now the Romans initially thought, how much trouble could these little Jews make? How much could it be? Jews, but they began to see that these Jews were organized, they were working together, happily doing our mitzvahs, happily back in Yerushalayim, and the Romans began to realize, if we want to straighten these Jews out, we're going to have to play hardball. Now, Rabbi Meir Holder writes over here that 60 years earlier, when the Roman Emperor Vespasian, now Vespasian, we don't like that guy. His name in Gemara talk sounds so cool. Vespasian in Gemara talk is Aspasionis. Sounds like a pasta dish, doesn't it? I don't know if he ate linguine or not. I don't know what Vespasian did. Wasn't a nice fellow. But when Vespasian had conquered Yerushalayim the first time, in 68 to 70, whatever version you like, it took 3 Roman legions to take Yerushalayim. And it was a big battle. When he's going to put down the Jews at the big battle in Beitar, which is going to go on for years, he's going to have to send 6 extra legions in addition to 2 he already has, besides extra detachments of cavalry and infantry, and it's going to take a long time. There's one thing, even in these battles, when the Jews eventually lose, the battles go on for years and years and years. And the battle in Beitar is going to be a Pyrrhic loss for the Romans, horrible for the Jews. But in the meanwhile, it's going to be some fight. It's going to be some fight. I mean, the ultimate day of the downfall of Beitar, we recognize on Tisha B'Av. The Romans will take Yerushalayim back. That's going to take a 12-month siege. But we really need to take a look at is the Gemara Yerushalmi, which is our main source for everything that happened with Bar Kochba, his ups and downs. So I just want to try to give you the highlights over here. Let me make sure I have the right page. Okay, I do have the right page. But again, there was a custom. Now Rabbi Weissbaum has to tell us if they still have it in Israel. Are they doing the bows and arrows today?
Very rarely.
Okay. When I grew up in the 60s, kids were still doing toy bows and arrows. You did it? I'm
Africa too.
I'm not going to ask who you aimed at. Okay. But when I was a kid, we still did the bows and arrows. My father, who came from a poor family, had fond memories in Slonim, Poland, of playing with bows and arrows back in the day. And if you look in the Jewish books, they tell you there used to be a prevalent custom for kids to play with bows and arrows, and it's all in the spirit of this Bar Kochba revolt here against the Romans. However, as Rabbi Weissberg said, you don't see it so much anymore. It's probably for safety reasons. I remember 20 years ago, even the cute little ones with the suction cups at the end, there were reported some kids who got hurt pretty bad with that in the eye. So it seems to be that's one Jewish custom that sort of fizzled out. Now, Rabbi Wein says something beautiful. He feels that the old fun... Now, again, if you, Catherine, if you leave here and you have this passion, I gotta shoot an arrow in the spirit of Bar Kochba, this is what you do. Go to Arundel Mills Mall, you know how to get there? Go to Bass Pro Outlet. Tell the guy, Mr. Favor, that Karp sent you. He'll take you in the back and let you shoot a crossbow if you sign a release form that if you kill him or yourself, you're not going to sue them. Mm-hmm. Then you will get the feeling of shooting a crossbow that's capable of blowing up somebody's car. I just mentioned this. I have a very lively student in Baltimore, and he wanted to do this, so I took him. The kid is like walking on air. But Rabbi Wein says that his feeling is that old custom of shooting the bows and arrow has morphed itself into the sports, the barbecues, not so much the barbecues, the sports, the tiyulim, the hikes, whatever fun family outings families and schools do. Rabbi Wein thinks the bow and arrow gave birth to that. It's a safer venue. So he feels it was a custom that sort of evolved itself. But you could think about Kochba later if you feel like doing that. Or you could just take a frisbee and throw it at somebody. You know, maybe that'll make you feel like it. Well, anyway, when Bar Kochba starts off, there was an argument right away among the greatest rabbis if this man could be Mashiach or the harbinger to Mashiach. Now you see, there always has to be an argument. All right, but discussion is healthy. Sometimes. So it starts off that Bar Kochba is on the scene, and Rabbi Akiva right away says, I want to change his name from Koziva to Kochba, Dorach Kaichov Meyakov. Pasuk about the Jewish leadership in Mashiach. He was very excited. Rabbi Akiva declared, I think this is our man. Rabbi Yochanan ben Tarsa said something. Now, if you think you're good at being sarcastic, you're not going to top this rabbi, okay? So you could take whatever Jewish comedians you like. You can take Rappin' Rodney, Henny Youngman, whoever you like, even Don Rickles. This rabbi puts them away. So this rabbi sarcastic comment, he goes, Rabbi Akiva, you think this kid's Mashiach? Rabbi, there will be grass growing out of your cheek and Mashiach still won't be here. Is that a put down or what, huh, Bruce? And the commentaries say that Rabbi Yochanan's telling him, Rabbi Akiva, this man is not Mashiach. Mashiach isn't coming for a while. You're going to be buried in the ground, and grass is going to be growing out of your face when you're 6 feet under, and Mashiach still won't be here. Now, if you use this put down on anybody and say you got it from me, I will lie and I will deny that you got it from me. You got it from the Gemara. But anyway, there seems to be a very, very big tumult about it. And of course, they're going to see as time goes on that he's not the man. Now, to give you an idea of Jewish force, now that's an old debate. You know, where did Jews fit in with sports and athletics and being mighty? Now we know Gil is a mighty warrior, but and so is our rabbi. But lately you haven't had to do much of that, right? Right? You're just getting on your good looks because that's all you need, right? But you may have heard that to be in Bar Kochba's army, you had to bite a finger. Now, because you had to shout, do a test of strength and bravery. And then the rabbis called them in and they said, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're making the Jewish people full of blemishes over here. He says, well, I need a test. I don't want just anybody in my army. I want a test. So they said, we got a better idea. Whoever wants to be in your army, put him on a horse. So appropriate for the Preakness in Baltimore yesterday. If you want to have fun, push your rabbi in a corner and say, Rabbi, next year, if I go to Baltimore for Shabbos, is it forbidden or permitted for me to walk to the Preakness and watch the horse if I don't bet? We love Rabbi Weisblum. Bother him with better questions. But I do have to tell you, for over 50 years, Jewish people in Baltimore have been doing that either with or without their rabbi's permission. I hope most of them didn't bet. But it's an issue. It's gotten pretty dangerous over the years, so don't even try. We hear the noise from miles away from them. But anyway, they said, listen, Bar Kochba, you want to test, put them on horses and tell the soldiers, you want to be in Bar Kochba's army, ride the horse and with one arm pull a cedar out of the ground. If you can do that, you're pretty tough. Gil, you remember doing that in training, right? No? Gil just jumped out of planes, climbed over the river and through the woods, right? All right, so he accepted that. He says, okay, fine, that'll be the new test. You got to go on a horse and with one arm pull a tree out of the ground. All right, we're going to do that. All right, fine. Now, things were going great for a while. The Jews were very happy. So Lag BaOmer could be a celebration of Jewish pride, Jewish power, help from Hashem, even though it was short-lived. Again, the really good time was 2.5 years, and at least we could say, well, we didn't just stand there, we did something. But even the greatest people go sour, and it is scary. In our history, there have been some very great people, generation leaders who went sour. Rabbi Wine teaches us, during the Spanish Inquisition, there were rabbis, not little rabbis, who converted to Christianity and then turned against us. Imagine such a thing. And Spanish Jewry was supposed to be from the most intelligent and philosophical and progressive and modern for their time. And when things got bad, some of the rabbis buckled, Yochanan Cohen Gadol, a great leader of the Jewish people, and a high priest of Beis HaMikdash. He was over 80, turned sour, threw it all away. So, that's why it says in Pirkei Avot, don't believe into yourself till the day you die. Keep an eye on yourself. Well, Bar Kochba had a problem. Now, out of respect for him, I don't want to call it the actor's problem. Think about your favorite actor or your favorite musician when they started out, and think about them now. How many times did you have a favorite star that they started out being a nice man and woman, and as they get rich and powerful, they start doing very, very bad, obnoxious things and saying terrible things? It's all the time. Of course, now we have the biggest ache A friend of mine was telling me there's a website you can go to now that gives you a long list of movie stars that are anti-Israel and pro-Palestinian. Who asked them? But very often it seems some of your favorite stars, as they get fame and power, like a lot of them lose their mind. They do crazy things to their husbands, to their wives, to other people. My ball players also, they start out normal people, but the fame and the power, very often the drugs, gets to them. But I don't want to put Bar Kochba with them too quickly. But his success is going to kill him. He realizes he's a strong man and his strategies are well, and he's beating the Romans. Even when the Romans came back to beat us, they were initially scared for a head-on fight. They were scared. They had to develop a whole different strategy. They didn't want, even when he brought in all those extra legions, Hadrian and his men, he imported, his big general was a guy Severus. He imported from Great Britain. Even he was scared for a frontal assault on the Jews because we were that tough. But it got to Bar Kochba's head, and he made a statement. He said, God, I don't know if you're going to help us or not. I don't know if we always need your help or not. But whatever you do, don't help my enemy. So everybody says once he started talking like that, that was the beginning of the end. He got too big for his pants. Once he's indicating that he could win on his own without God's help, and his statement was, you know what, you don't want to help me, fine, but don't help my enemy either. I'll do it myself. And there are several Jewish heroes that happened to over time. That's going to be the beginning of the end. His biggest mistake, and this is when it was, forget it, like that this is absolute doom. He had an uncle, Rabbi Elazar HaMoldoi. Now, by we Jews, even by Goyim also, you never really know what wins the war. You really don't know. You don't know. You don't really know everything that goes on. You don't know all the maneuvers. But we Jews, we have soldiers, we have weapons, we do what we have to do, but we have people, we have shifts of people learning and davening. And how much this helps and that helps, nobody knows, only God knows. Bar Kochba had an uncle named Rabbi Elazar HaMoldoi. And Rabbi Elazar HaMoldoi, throughout the attack on Beitar, he was sitting with a sad face, davening like he never davened before. Intensely davening, and the Gemara's opinion is that behind the scenes, he was keeping things okay for the Jews for as long as he could. But what happens? Again, there was a Samaritan, a Kuti, and he told the Romans, there's this big rabbi praying against you. I'm going to see what I can do about it. So this guy, this Kuti guy, found a way to sneak into Beitar without getting caught. And in front of other people, he approached Rabbi Elazar HaMoldoi, Bar Kochba's uncle. He made like he was whispering to him, but he didn't say anything. But everybody saw. This Kuti guy comes in, whispers to Rabbi Elazar HaMoldoi, so they apprehend him. They say, what are you doing? Can't tell you. They take him to Shimon Bar Kochba. What are you doing? He says, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. They said, well, you have to tell me. He said like this. He says, well, if I tell you, the Romans are going to kill me. And if I don't tell you, you're going to kill me. Tell you what, I'm going to tell you, and we'll see what the Romans do. I was talking to your uncle about a way for you guys to lose. That's what I was talking about. Bar Kochba has a fit, goes to his uncle, and he says, Uncle Elazar, the man who's davening was keeping everything safe. What did that Kuti whisper to you? So he told the truth. Nothing. because he didn't whisper anything to him. What did he whisper to you, uncle? He said, I'm telling you, he didn't say a thing. Bar Kochba lost it. His power went to his head and blinded him big time. With his mighty legs, he kicked his uncle, the tzaddik, and killed him. And the Gemara says a heavenly voice came out basically saying, that's it. That's it. You're going to be punished for this. It's just a matter of time. You're going to lose. And it ends off very, very sad that the Jews, it's a bloodbath with rivers of blood running through Beitar. The Gemara says it took a very, very long time for there to stop being blood in the local water supply. Children were killed, women were killed, everybody was killed. The horses were running around in many, 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 many inches of feet, whatever it was, of blood. It was all over the place. And eventually, a guy brings Bar Kochba's head to the Romans. And he said, how'd you get this? He says, I killed Bar Kochba. Oh, wants a reward. So the Romans knew this guy Bar Kochba was something. They said, where's the rest of his body? Show it to me. So they showed it to him, and the body was engulfed by a coiled snake. So the Roman guy said, you didn't kill Bar Kochba. Nobody could kill Bar Kochba. Only God could kill Bar Kochba. The snake did the job. You cut off the head afterwards. No reward for you. But even the Roman understood that God, for X amount of time, God was on our side. Then God moved back, and the great Bar Kochba, who they saw was not Mashiach, and got out of line. We had our loss, and things got tough for the Jews again. But still, on Lag BaOmer, we're still happy that we're still here. We're still around. They didn't get rid of all of us. We can still do mitzvahs. He did accomplish something, and we Jews do continue to fight when we have to. We don't always win, but I think we were winning more often than we used to in the old times. So anyway, we should have a pleasant Lag BaOmer, and Elias shouldn't have to fight anybody or anybody else. And we do look forward to just taking as much Jewish pride as we can from this story. Have a great barbecue.